The 1970s, a decade of disco, bell-bottoms, and some of the worst cars ever built. It was the era when emission laws, oil crises, and corporate confusion created an avalanche of underpowered, unreliable, and downright embarrassing machines. These cars were slow, ugly, and often dangerous, proof that even major automakers can lose their way. So today, we're taking a drive back in time to count down the top 8 worst cars of the 1970s, the ones that should have stayed on the drawing board but somehow rolled out of factories anyway. Number 8, the AMC Pacer. Let's start with a classic punchline, the AMC Pacer, the so-called car of the future. Designed by American Motors to be revolutionary, the Pacer featured a fishbowl design with enormous glass panels that made it look like a rolling aquarium. AMC claimed it was ahead of its time, wide, futuristic, and aerodynamic. Unfortunately, it also weighed nearly 3,000 pounds, and the base engine barely made 90 horsepower. The car was slow, clumsy, and handled like a sofa on roller skates. The air conditioning barely worked, and the build quality was, let's say, experimental. And that futuristic design? It trapped heat like a greenhouse. Owners roasted in summer and froze in winter. The only thing that saved it from total obscurity was its starring role in Wayne's World decades later, and even then, it was mostly there to be laughed at. Number 7, Chevrolet Vega. Next up, a car that looked promising but turned into one of the biggest disasters in GM's history, the Chevrolet Vega. At launch, it was supposed to be America's answer to the fuel-efficient imports flooding the market. It looked sleek, had a lightweight aluminum engine, and seemed modern. Then the engine started self-destructing. The Vega's aluminum motor suffered from poor cooling, causing cylinders to warp, pistons to seize, and oil to burn faster than fuel. Rust appeared almost instantly, some cars literally had holes in the fenders within a year. Even GM insiders called it a corporate embarrassment. By the time the Vega was discontinued in 1977, its reputation had sunk lower than its resale value, and that's saying something. Number 6, Ford Pinto. You knew this one was coming. The Ford Pinto, the car infamous not for how it drove, but for how it exploded. In Ford's rush to create a small, cheap car, they positioned the gas tank behind the rear axle, dangerously close to the bumper. In rear-end collisions, it could rupture and ignite. Internal memos revealed that Ford knew about the risk but calculated that paying lawsuits would be cheaper than fixing the design. When the truth came out, it became a PR nightmare. The Pinto went from runabout to fireball. Even ignoring the fire hazard, the Pinto was underpowered, cramped, and cheaply made. But it'll always be remembered for proving that corporate greed can literally be explosive. Number 5, Triumph Stag. The British car industry had its fair share of blunders, and few were as tragic as the Triumph Stag. It was meant to be a luxury sports tourer, a stylish convertible with a V8 engine. On paper, it looked like a European dream car. In reality, it was a mechanical nightmare. The Stag's 3.0L V8 had chronic overheating issues, caused by poor cooling design and unreliable water pumps. Head gaskets blew like party balloons, and electrical gremlins plagued nearly every system. Owners spent more time with their mechanics than their families. Despite its looks and sound, the Stag earned a reputation as one of the least reliable cars Britain ever exported, and that's a very competitive field. Number 4, Dodge Aspen and Plymouth Volare. The Dodge Aspen and Plymouth Volare were Chrysler's big hope for a modern family car. Instead, they nearly killed the company. When introduced in 1976, Chrysler bragged about their smooth ride and advanced engineering. Within a year, reality hit, massive recalls, rust issues, and terrible build quality. In cold climates, door handles snapped off. In warm climates, paint peeled like sunburn. And the suspension? It collapsed faster than Chrysler's reputation. The cars were so unreliable that they destroyed consumer trust in Chrysler for years. The only thing smooth about the Aspen and Volare was how smoothly they slid into the junkyard. Number 3, Ford Mustang II. Yes, the Mustang, but not that Mustang. The 1974 Mustang II arrived at the height of the oil crisis. Ford needed a smaller, more efficient car, but what they delivered was a gutless shadow of the original muscle icon. Based on the Pinto platform, the Mustang II had tiny engines, the base 2.3L four-cylinder made just 88 horsepower, and even the optional V6 struggled to reach 60 miles per hour in under 12 seconds. Worse, it looked bloated and awkward, with fake luxury touches and zero performance spirit. Sure, it sold well at first, people wanted economy, but enthusiasts called it the Mustang that forgot what it was. It wasn't until 1979 that Ford started to make the Mustang cool again. Number 2, Chevrolet Chevette. Now we move to GM's other fuel saver, the Chevette. Designed as a cheap, simple commuter car, the Chevette achieved one thing perfectly: mediocrity. Its 1.4L and 1.6L engines were painfully slow, the interior plastics looked like recycled lunch trays, and the driving experience felt like punishment for unpaid parking tickets. Reviewers joked that the Chevette's acceleration could be measured with a calendar, not a stopwatch. Even GM's own engineers admitted it was built to a price, not a standard. Despite all that, it sold millions, because it was cheap, not because it was good. The Chevette became the universal symbol of 1970s automotive failure, an appliance pretending to be a car. Number 1, Yugo 45 Yugo GV. And at number 1, the undisputed heavyweight of horror, the Yugo. Technically born in the late 70s but unleashed globally in the 80s, the Yugo was a Yugoslavian-built Fiat 127 clone, marketed as the cheapest car in America. You could buy one for under $4,000 and still feel ripped off. The Yugo's build quality was astonishingly bad. Doors didn't fit, dashboards rattled, and engines failed before the warranty expired. Electrical systems shorted out at random, and gearboxes felt like stirring concrete. Reviewers described it as a car that makes you appreciate walking. Even basic things went wrong: wipers stopped mid-swipe, the heater blew cold air, and sometimes the steering wheel simply came off. By the late 1980s, jokes about the Yugo became a cultural phenomenon. The Yugo wasn't just a bad car, it was an automotive tragedy, a perfect storm of cheap engineering, bad materials, and worse timing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this trip down the smoky, unreliable roads of the 70s, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments.